Hi, YouTube. Bienvenidos al canal. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what else to say other than I'm really fucking excited about this show. It's literally like it's been Saturday happened, Sunday. We're literally watching this on Sunday because we need to catch up. Episode 1 took us close to 4 hours. Who knows what episode 2 and episode 3 might take us, you know? I do want to say, ladies and gentlemen, hi, welcome on in. Appreciate y'all being here. Hey, remember that this channel in general is not a replacement for therapy. It's not a replacement for any sort of like, you know, immediate like, oh, I need help or anything like that. If you do need help, seek out mental health professionals in your area, ladies and gentlemen. I will always highly recommend that. This is more like a support network that if you guys have something that's going on, you guys can come and talk to us. We're a friendly bunch in the Discord. All of these individuals in here are just a friendly bunch. And I do want to go ahead and highlight that because this show is touching on quite a number of like heavy topics that it can be a lot to carry on. And I do ask about your experiences because it allows for moments of introspection and growth, right? That's the number one reason why we share experiences. We go in deep. We analyze as much as we can. Through that, guys, I do want to go ahead and highlight, number one, this show's like our whole thing. Number one, it's completely unmonetized. Everything that goes on YouTube is not monetized when it comes to reaction videos. Number two, we're doing this for the sake of mental health purposes. And number three, I'm not here to predict stuff. I'm not here to just like, let me predict everything. No, you know, I'm here to be goofy, silly, whatnot, and talk about the mental health elements, the biggest things out there, the mental health elements that are presented in this show. And take that in and look at the characters and analyze them. Look at the environment and analyze it. Talk about how this impacts individuals normally and so on and so forth, right? I do want to go ahead and highlight that because there seems to be some individuals that think like everything we do is just prediction based when it's like, dude, we get a lot of shit wrong. We get a lot of stuff wrong, and that's a-okay because it's talking about the psychology of the characters, not so much about, you know, 5 or 10 heading it to like 100 steps ahead, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all being here. Come and join us. We will be doing this every Friday. As Frieren releases, we will be watching it Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. These are just special streams to catch up because it's supposed to be a 90-minute episode, and apparently we took the first 20 minutes and we ran with it for 4 hours. Welcome to a Psyculturist stream, standard Psyculturist stream, standard actual good reaction analysis stream. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen. With that being said, let's go into it, guys. Let's go into it. I just noticed you guys can't fucking hear that. Okay, I have a question for y'all, and I know this might seem silly and whatnot, because I know we're repeating it. But if this is this Frieren? Because if this is Frieren, right, is this Frieren before she had joined this adventuring party? Or is this Frieren, like, you know, as they envision themselves? I'm just assuming it's an elf-like individual, right, who clearly looks nothing similar to the way that Frieren currently looks. So it's making me wonder if this is a representation of her in that instance, or if this is just another elf altogether. Because regardless, Himmel is putting out his hand, right? I'm assuming that that's Himmel that's putting out his hand like that to like reach out to them and maybe join them on their adventure or whatever this might be. But I'm still really curious about that. Yes, and she doesn't have earrings on, so maybe. Well, that's why I'm highlighting it. Because like for me, now it's making me wonder, are we gonna get glimpses into her past? Like, what was she like growing up? Right before she joined this adventuring party, which only lasted 10 years, what was she like? Gives me huge ending vibes. I think it's Frieren. Maybe it's a reclusive version of her. How old is she? Well, that's the real question, right? Like, how old is Frieren? But also, how does this look like? Check staff chat. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and leave the first 20 seconds of this opening muted a little bit, guys, because Thank you, editors. They're giving me the heads up like, hey, it gets muted. So guys, we're gonna leave this first 20-30 seconds just muted like this. It also helps a ton when we're watching this. Because I'm also curious about this, which is, does Frieren has to have parents, right? And I guess when it comes to elves and whatnot, what does that look like? The passage of time, the passage of parents. I know, damn you, copyright. The passage of, like, say, growing up and leaving the nest or being able to do certain things. No, she's from the stork. Well, parents, didn't you just spawn from a tree? I wonder what and that's the question that I'm going to. Exactly, Coughme. I wonder when it's time for elves to leave their house. For most individuals, it's around 18 or 20 something. It's actually been getting older and older as, like, the economy has been getting worse, sadly. But for a lot of individuals, 18 was the standard time to leave the house, right? But how, like, what is the average age of maturity for elves in that sense, right? Also, does anybody have the lyrics? I think Nick Mayer sent me the lyrics. Hold on. Nick is usually on top of it. Yeah, he did. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Lyrics time. Oh, wait, that's... Oof. Okay, we'll listen to it, and then we'll go back and we'll look at the lyrics in a bit. We're just doing the opening here. Interesting. Hold on, I just caught something else. Gotcha. Intro. Amazing fucking intro coming in, you know. Love that this looks like flowers or, you know, like something like plants and whatnot. Flowers, plants, anything that's coming out of it. But for me, it's also kind of representing our sort of our layer of the subconscious. Like, for example, when you go to sleep, right? How many of you know when you're falling into deep sleep? Ladies and gentlemen. Like, and I genuinely mean this. How many of you know when you're going into deep sleep? How many of you feel like, you know what, I'm in a dream? Or how many of you can lucid dream and know the instances when you're in that lucid dream? How is that like for you? What does that feel like for you? And I genuinely mean this not to be like the standard, like, ooh, psychologist, like, how does that make you feel? Like, no, but like, what is that like for you? You know when you're dreaming, but you don't know the in-between. There's an interesting layer in our brains, right? Or our right side of our brain starts throwing in all of these images at us so that we can start compiling them and making this logical world of whatever our subconscious wants it to be. This is where we can get some like weird dreams where all of a sudden, like, we're flying, we don't know why, and our other side of the brain's like, hey, you're flying because of this, let's add some logic and other concepts into this. Your right side of the brain's throwing in all these pictures for you, and your left side's trying to go ahead and comprehend instances, and your subconscious is just layering everything. The reason why I'm going through all of this is just an example, by the way. The reason why I'm going through all of this is sometimes we have like instances of deep breathing, deep sleep, where all of a sudden, we start going in, we start snoring for some people. For some people, it's that deep breathing. And then like, it's like a translucent, like disassociative wave before you hit into that deep sleep cycle, I never remember when I fall asleep, but I can sometimes work out I'm dreaming through working out. I'm dreaming. I usually wakes me up. Oh, inky, dude. Yeah, it can happen. It can happen. Are the techniques for lucid dreaming a real thing or just BS? Some of them are real, Mickey. Some of the techniques used to be able to go ahead and gain control of your sleep are real in that things. I believe there's some psychodynamical approaches in that. I forgot to get some peer-reviewed papers for you guys today. Damn. Next week or next episode, whenever we have time, I'll find some. But yes, there are some abilities to go ahead and be able to go ahead and get better control of your sleep, or be able to go ahead and like just understand your dreams better. So for example, how many of you, and I'll ask this, how many of you have nightmares, like consistent nightmares? Because the reason why I'm asking this is she's clearly sleeping in this, right? And clearly her memories are a reflection of the past. So it makes me wonder, are her memories good memories? Or have these good memories transformed into guilt memories and memories of weight and memories of something that she can't get back? Consistent nightmares is going to bed and almost all the time having nightmares about something. And if so, have you ever written them down? If you do have them, have you ever written down like your dreams or your nightmares, or even a journal about self, about what you've gone through and maybe what you're experiencing? And what is that for you? This is to allow introspection. And this is why I'm wondering this. This opening is starting off with a huge reflection of like maybe what seems like past events. And going through it, we start to see her and she fully wakes up. So is this dream better than the reality that she's in? Is this like opening, classifying this dream as something worthy that she wants to go out and have and experience and cherish? Or maybe it's the guilt of this dream of never being fully fulfilled or understanding or whatever, versus what the reality is as to what she has to have and what she has to do. I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is very, very layered for an opening, even though we're not listening to the song right now. So it's, it was all a dream. No, 5 years. I hope not. I hope not. All right, hold on. Oh, thanks so much for the follow. Twitch being weird. I will say though, she is a cute elf. She's the cutest of elves, isn't she? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can go from here. I just relay my memories on my dream. Oh, hold on. I thought the techniques for lucid dreaming was more about the idea of being taken into your sleep, in the first place. It's more of just garnering your ability to control your dreams, Chera. It's more about being able to go ahead and control your dreams and realize that your dream, because sometimes if you have a traumatic experience, your dreams can re-trigger you and can like start fight or flight even while you're dreaming, which is why you get those nightmares, those waking nightmares, those people that scream and yell and punch and do all of these things, because sometimes our unconscious is trying to work through a situation and it just re-triggers us, you know? Yep. Anyway. Ooh, okay. We're approaching this through a social psychological perspective for this opening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to do a little bit of psychodynamics, but it's a little bit more of a social psychological perspective in it. So, for example, automatically this opening, and I'll ask this because it's a good form of reflection, might even represent like Frieren in general, which is how lonely must it be for her? How lonely must it be for Frieren to be in this world, to be in this environment where even sociologically speaking, she might not never fit in. She might just be a remnant of the time where everyone else is growing, getting older, making attachments and whatnot. She is literally just a speck of dust that keeps going through the wind, right? And gets to see all of these things happen. So I'll throw this out to you guys, which is, how many of you guys were like this in high school? She might not even realize it. No, she might not even fully realize it. But I'll throw this out there for you. How many of you guys were like this in high school, where you might have been crowded, but for yourself, you were lonely, even if you were in a room full of people? You were alone, even though there was a lot of, or college, even though there was like a number of people walking by and talking and all of this noise and whatnot. How do you deal with that? Does that weigh on you? Doesn't it? For her, she might not even fully realize it because of cultural components, because of self, right? Of how she views herself. But I'll tell you what, it might slowly start to creep up on her because of her past memories. I was alone. Yeah, for sure. Still feel that way most days. I like being lonely, different strokes. But through that, do you like being alone because that's how you'll learn to be alone? Or do you like being alone because now you've coped with being alone? Because you standardized that as a new normal, because say that like maybe making friends was tough for you. Maybe reaching out to others was tough for you. Maybe you felt like people made you out to be the black sheep, and so you normalized being alone. Lonely does not equal alone though. Well, that's why I'm asking this. I don't like being, welcome on in, appreciate you. Doesn't really weigh on me per se, but people will look down on me if I am alone. There's a lot of social stigma. And I think this is what we saw in episode 1, where the people were calling out Frieren for, you know, she doesn't seem that sad, right? There's a lot of social stigma for being an odd one out. And this is something that I'm wondering about this world, is as this world progresses, is there going to be some stigma against her? Maybe they might see her as a relic from the past. Maybe they might see her as like, you know, an individual that didn't do anything You know, maybe they might even forget about like her travels with the team, with the heroes and whatnot. So for yourselves, and I'm going to ask this, have you ever been the black sheep in your life, in your family, in your friend group, and even in school, college, university, wherever you're at? Have you ever felt like the black sheep, and how did you remediate that? How did you fix that? What was that like for you? I'll be honest, the expectations for me have always been high, but I've also always dealt with situations like that of being deemed like a black sheep in some instances, right? Where you might try and reach out and whatnot, might just be harder for you to connect with individuals because for them it's like, oh wait, you know, everyone throws their issues your way or tries to like paint you in a certain color, and you're just like, nah. My middle brother, if we're going to be more, in fact, in terms of like socially, in some instances like that, my middle brother in terms of family was the black sheep for a good while, right? With IRL friendships, I feel like I can't take life at my own pace. It's not healthy, but it's a choice. So I'm going to throw this in there as a reflection, because this is really good to break down Frieren in this way, because I feel like I'm understanding more of her as we go through this. In a friendship group, how many of you have felt the need to fit in? Like pressured to do something to fit in, whether it's liking a show. Oh, wow, I really love Boku no Pico, or some, you know, out there show that people were just really, really loving. Even though you might have not have actually loved it, you had to do that to like fit in, or dressed a certain way, or like certain instances, or, you know, like done certain things in order to fit yourself in. How was that for you? How was that for you guys? Like in instances like that where you had to maybe even learn how to fit in. Couldn't get my friends to watch this show. How dare they? They're not real friends. I'll showcase this. Maybe some people want to shit on Frieren but can't. True, Dark Thug. True. I had, when COVID hit, right? I'll open up about this. Again, another example. A lot of friends were doing their own thing. Started doing their own channels, book analysis, 101 other aspects, other therapists and psychologists during that time, right? And myself, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and do anime during this point in time. And people kept telling me no. 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 And I got into interesting things. Warhammer 40K. Didn't think I'd ever be into that, but guess what? Well, I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and start doing this. I would have Warhammer 40K videos in the background, and people would come in and be like, dude, what are you watching? You should be watching this reality show. And I'm like, nah, I want to go ahead and watch Warhammer. I want to go ahead and like, you know, see the Warhammer, 40K videos on YouTube where they're like having full on wars or anything like that. Nerdy as fuck, but I'm going to get into it. I'm going to get into Critical Role. I'm going to throw up some Critical Role videos, put them on the background while I'm doing homework or I'm planning something out, you know? And I'd have people just be like, no, try and shift me in certain directions, but it's up to you to see if whether or not you want to go ahead and fit in that instance. You know, are you going to put up your boundaries and say, hey, no, you know what? We can still be friends. Doesn't mean I have to like everything that you got to like. Doesn't mean that your friends have to be my friends for us to be friends, you know? And it's about establishing that, you know? Anyway, sorry, guys. I'm glad nerdy hobbies are more normalized. Maybe not normalized. Model painting is a good hobby when you have lots of free time. If you can afford to paint your models, how do I say this? I feel like this might be a controversial statement to make, but I'm really fucking curious. If Frieren was in our world, right? If Frieren was in our world, would she be on the spectrum? Now that I'm thinking about it, hold on. Not understanding social cues, You know, not really relating to instances of like what connection is or attachment is. Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. Wouldn't Frieren probably like rank high in the Rad's R test and you know rank her special interest in magic? Do we have a Rad's R at the end of episode 4? That's what I'm thinking is, are we going to run a Rad's R at the end of episode 4, or maybe this episode, and see if the obsession with magic? Yeah. No feelings, or like, you know, not really seeing her like anyone or anything so far. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, honestly, if she didn't, it'd probably be more of adapted evolved trait. It could be. It could be, but at the same time, I'm just curious about this. Now you have me like processing something, because not like fitting in socially in that environment, and I think the perceptions of high immortality would be a different psychological phenomenon than not. Breaking it down similar. Well, we're bringing it down to our understanding of the world so far, right? And I think that's one of the big things 5 years is we don't have advanced elf psychology. So we're using human psychology to try and understand Frieren. And for Frieren, if she was in the here and now, would she rank high in being on the spectrum? And that is a question that is like a genuine thing. Yeah. Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I have an idea on why she has magic obsession, but I'll wait with it for now. Ooh, elfology. Oh, Sage, you did the maid stream? Oh, sorry, I didn't wake up till really. How'd it go? How'd it go? How'd it go? So my question for you is this, right? Some things will get explored in episode 4 episode, some things won't. It's best not to end. Oh, okay. Thank you, Coughme. Thank you. My question for you guys is this. Is Frieren a kid or is Frieren an adult? And by this I mean, like, how would you guys perceive her? In terms of her actions and behaviors, do you identify Frieren as like that of a kid that needs someone to take care of her, or that as an adult that can take care of others? Or a teenager? Sure, Nanachi. A teenager could work. In my opinion, an adult or late teen. Like, where do you guys rank that? Because my perception off of this is, if she's, will she let others take on the roles that she doesn't have in her life? Yamato, an adult, yeah. Because I'm sort of wondering about it, right? Because she's still in this line, in this area of like identifying aspects of herself. Yamato Tomato, I love it. Of identifying aspects of herself. And I guess through that, it's what aspects does she show as an adult and what aspects does she show as a kid? You know? And through that is, for example, can she cook for herself? Can she clean for herself? Can she wash her own clothes? Aside from magic, we're going to take magic as a separate area, as a circumscribed interest. Can she go shopping and understand what shopping is? Does she understand what those social cues are for her to be able to fit in wherever she goes? Does she, like, is she able to go ahead and, like, I don't know, pay bills and, you know, so on and so forth? Hinyako, welcome on in. Appreciate you being here. Hi. How you doing, Hina? I hope you're doing well. She can do that stuff, but she's lazy. Yamato. You'll find out. What I find interesting about this show and Oshinoko is they're both pointing towards a star. She can, but she'd rather let others do it. What is the greater Good for yourself. I'm gonna start your first day as a master's student. Oh well, congratulations, Hinak. Yo, don't give up. The master's is it can get a little difficult, so don't give up. Hang in there. You got this. Believe in yourself. And if you ever need any help or you ever want to cite me, feel free. I have my research papers. I'll share with you. But through that's sort of what I'm wondering is, oh, dude, you know I love you. I know the Dutch saying. I don't know the German saying for this, but I'll say it in Dutch either way. I'm sure someone will pick it up. Je bent mooi. You like it stands for you are beautiful. You got this. I believe in you. Yeah, so be too popular. They're all getting anime. So through this, right? One of the big things, one of the big instances that I'm going to go ahead and throw out there is, what is the grand goal of Frieren? What is the grand goal for yourself? 10-minute. So I'm used to Dutch. Let's go. What is the grand goal for yourself? Like in this life, in this moment, in this opportunity, an aspect for yourself. What is your goal? What do you wish to do? Are you still trying to heal your inner child or your past? Or are you focusing on the future? And by this, take it in for yourself, right? Take it in as an aspect of self. Mods, can we pause that, please? Can we pause that ad break that apparently likes to keep coming? Like, what is the grand goal? Like, for example, we always make fun of certain situations, right? Certain anime, certain things where we're like, trauma is stored in the balls, Moshiko Tensei. Or, wow, I'd want to be a doggy, Chainsaw Man. Or anything like that, right? Like, there are instances where we can poke fun at situations, but at the end of the day, Rudy has a grand goal. Denji has a grand goal. Everyone has a grand goal that they're working towards, because that's sort of what it is, right? And for yourself, what does that grand goal look like? There's an ad already. Fuck, that wasn't even me, man. I don't control that shit. I think her goal is to acquire a bunch of new spells. Could be. She did say that she was looking for spells in the first episode. But for yourself, for you that are watching this, you individuals that are in here, what is your grand goal in life? Where do you want to go? And what steps are you taking to better your goal? What does that mean for you? When others criticize that goal for yourself, do you want to do theater and acting and your parents don't approve it? What does that mean for you? How do you want to go ahead and do what you want to do versus what others expect of you to do? That is an interesting perspective to take. But I guess that, like, as much as there's going to be like elves that help humanity, there might be elves that harm humanity as well, right? And I think that's an interesting perception to bring in. Like, what, the purple-haired kid or the elf? Because I was gonna say, we're getting feet for free. We're getting feet for free. But no, like, she's someone we're not gonna meet for a while. Oh shit. Okay. Because this is something that, like, I guess I really want to point out and I really want to highlight, which is, what makes someone good or bad? Ed, stay strong. I can't. I see the feet and I'm like, it's free. But no, bruh, no. Like, realistically, that's sort of what I want to point out is, what makes someone a hero or a villain for yourself, right? And then even through that, we're going to evolve that next step, because immediately this red light or pink light or whatever gives off the quick impression that, hey, this is going to be a villain. This is going to be someone that's going to be a troublestone or an issue or something in that thing. Yeah, its hardest is to be happy and being satisfied. How that will play out is another question, hard questions. Beside that, I do want to engage in the research field, so I want to change something. Why so, Hina? Actually, beautiful concept, because you're bringing in the concept of legacy, which is beautiful in of itself, and I think this is what this show is tackling. Why do you want to impact or engage in the field and change something? Like, what does that mean for you to be able to do that? I think that's a difficult question. I would say that if a person who helps more people, but is flawed as well. I think if I was immortal, I would have be mischievous prankster to maintain sanity. For some people, yeah, that's why you had some gods that are like tricksters and whatnot, right? Because for them, that's sort of what gives life a little bit of meaning and fun. The reason why I highlight this is because I feel as though these terms are immortality through remembrance. Absolutely, Mickey. These terms are used way too often. Oh, I'm going to highlight this example. Example time. Beep, 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 beep. At some point in your life, you will be labeled as good or a bad person, no matter what. You've gone through a really bad breakup. Guess what? You're probably labeled as a bad person, even if the other person is at fault. Even if, say, like your other partner cheated on you or whatever, you are labeled as a bad person, and this narrative of bad, you being a bad person, might be shared around or whatever in order to cover or make a building of self, to defend our ego, to defend ourself, the aspect of ourself that we share with others. So, for you, have you ever been the good guy or the bad guy in people's stories? And it's not just like, going into the cheesy Chera dropped it, a hero is just a villain in somebody else's story. And you might even be a bad person, not even realize that. Exactly because everyone has a different goal, and sometimes our goals crash into one another, and sometimes those goals make one person a winner, one person have to redirect and find another way around. So but we're not past the OP. Whoever just said that is wrong. We're not past the OP. We're still in the OP. Okay, here we go. Ed is asking good questions. My ex-girlfriend broke up with me later, then she kept saying that I was the best person in her life. It was a really strange time for me. He didn't know. Ed asking good questions. Oh, well, thank you, Hina. I hope that, spending as many years as I have in the field, it's allowing me to ask some decent questions. Hina, yo, we gotta talk about just psychology or something forever, forever, in depth or something. I think it would be wonderful, like that, until it's actually over. True. So the lyrics are just like a fairy tale, the proof of of reaching the end from a journey that felt endless, a passage that was carved out. It is a memory of a short journey with the hero who once in this land defeated the darkness that cast its shadow. Socratic dialogue for the win, right? To say everything Frieren related in German. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Interesting how this is being set up, right? Interesting how this is literally being set up in this location. We're going to read stanza 2 and then we're going to come back and analyze it. The story ends and their hero goes to sleep, leaving behind a peaceful everyday life. In this land, the passage of time is heartless, making people forget even traces of their existence are slowly fading away. And again, this is a big point of legacy, of doing something grandiose and then just being taken away slowly and surely. So, for example, I'll share this. One of the big impacts that I've been working towards, and I think you guys are very much aware, is I'm working on normalizing anime and video games in terms of therapists and psychologists and whatnot being able to go ahead and use that in their work, being able to go ahead and understand the importance of it, that it's more as important or more important than books or any other medium out there. As society is rising and anime is blowing up in popularity, we're relating more and more towards characters, and we're like developing not just propinquity but like parasocial relationships with series, which is why we have tribalism, which is why we have people being like, the reason why we have to go ahead and defend this character is because they totally like relate to everything that I've done. Like, you have people, keyboard warriors, literally rising up and defending the characters, and not in a bad way, but just because for them these characters speak to them, and these characters show aspects of themselves. And I've seen people come into therapy, and literally bring up like, kids, teens, even adults being like, dude, I feel like Gara oftentimes when I'm out and about. Have another therapist listen to this, right? And get like that, have no aspect of anime. What do you think they're going to go ahead and do? Now it's going to take them 5, 10, maybe like 3, 4, 5 sessions to try and understand who Gara is, what Gara implies, what those elements mean, how to process this, so on and so forth. And it can take a while to go, or even laugh it off. Maybe even go through with like, oh, you might have a fixation on this, when not realizing that anime, video games, all of these mediums that we have are a part of everyday society. So when we're looking at something like this, what does it mean for you to create something, for you to make a meaningful blow or a meaningful aspect in society and then be forgotten to the traces of time? For example, and if you're not in psychology, I guess I'll ask this. How many of you know of, and because you guys are here, you guys should know about this, know about Freud. You guys should know about this because we talk about this individual a lot. How many of you have heard about Freud? Okay. How many of you have heard of Anna Freud? How many of you have heard of Anna Freud? Hina, that's because you're doing your master's in and all of a sudden for some people it's like it's his daughter that developed defense mechanisms or coping mechanisms. His daughter that is like famous, like, that a lot of people literally like when we talk about defense mechanisms, stuff like that, it's thanks to Anna Freud actually taking the time to go in deeper on it. And people just immediately associate Freud, because of last name, defense mechanisms to Freud. Freud started off the defense mechanisms. Anna Freud like, finished it and, pushed it forward. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting how sometimes people that make such a big impact in psychology, in our lives and whatnot, sort of start to get forgotten? Bring up another one. How many of you guys know of Ainsworth or Bowlby? Ooh. I'm asking this to prove a point, by the way, in case YouTube's wondering. Neither. Ainsworth and Bowlby. If you're into attachment psychology, guess what? They're the reasons why we have words like propinquity, secure attachment, anxious attachment. They're the reasons why we understand that at childhood, we attach to our caregivers, and the importance of attaching to these caregivers, the importance of establishing safe and secure connections. But guess what? For majority of people, they're sort of lost to time. That's why I bring this up. I bring this up because for a lot of people, this is a standardization where you make an impact, you make a big thing, and then you're just sort of left to time. If we're going to be realistic about it, is it important to remember by a name or by an impact that you had? But here's the thing, Hina, even through this, especially in the field, there are a lot of people that still don't know about them, and they have their master's degree or they have their doctoral degree, and they don't even realize who Ainsworth is, who, we can go into 101 other observations or 101 other psychologists, and you quote them all the time, sure, but they don't really understand where this theory comes from, the fundamentals of it, which is interesting. Because if we go past that, we can go into like famous leaders, famous individuals, and it's like, what is more important, right? Because for some people, they just remember the name rather than the impact that they had in society. But even through this comes in the next question, which is, are our memories even real? Do you want to be remembered by false memories? because that's what it is going to be at the end of the day, right? Do you want your legacy to be remembered by false memories or just by what you left behind, which is another way to take this. And interesting. However, your words, your wishes, your courage, even now, they are surely alive inside of me. We chose the same path. It's all I was supposed to be. But somehow, over time, I want to know more about the reasons for these tears streaming down my cheek. Even now, if I trace the journey we took together, even if you're not there, I'm sure I'll find you. Taking on another person's legacy is a big thing. And I think this is something worth also mentioning. Being able to pick up someone else's journey, someone else's work, someone else's whatever, and keep going with it. I think that this is something that not a lot of people truly get to experience. Yes, Sobi lyrics or something out. It sounds like a lot of regret. It is a lot of regret. It is a lot of regret. It's a lot of, and here's the thing. Like, as you guys know, I love talking about the, other psychologists that I'm working with who's an expert in trauma psychology. And one of the big things that he puts in there is the regret that comes with his life, right? My goal isn't necessarily that people remember my name, is that people remember your impact. But what if your impact gets taken off, or people forget your impact, or people simply like shrub the impact that you've had onto others, because sadly that does happen a lot, where people grab your work and they throw it onto somebody else and they're like, this ain't about this person, it's about this other person. And it's like, whoa, what about all the work and everything that you did? How would you feel about that? Because that is, sadly, it's quite common in the field. So through this, I guess I'll ask this. Have you ever taken on the will of another person, ladies and gentlemen? And if so, have you ever had regrets about it? Regrets about not saying hi, the regrets about not pushing yourself and your ability to, I don't know, accomplish something. Have you ever had regrets about not asking a girl out, not, saying hi to that one person, not, I don't know, going over and, maybe even putting yourself out there for a job? Have you ever had regrets about maybe the career that you went into? That is what I'm looking at, and I'm like, this is a lot of weight to throw in there. There's a lot of weight for her to have, and at the same time, this might be crushing for a person. This might, like, all of this altogether is just crushing altogether. Wow. The story continues as I embark on a journey alone. You remain in the memories of the people I met in the towns I visit. You're still the same kind-hearted, always trying to look cool. Symbols you created here and there are proof of the peace. Wait, nani? Are proof of the peace we won, even that someday in the future, so that I don't end up alone, so that I can remember that journey. It's a mark that left behind. Ooh, ooh, ah. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and highlight this. You want to talk about parataxic distortions? You want to talk about putting someone on a pedestal? How can anyone ever compare, right? Like once you start like learning, or maybe Frieren will start learning a little bit more about it, to the man or the heroes that she went on a journey with. How can anyone ever compare to these heroes that are immortalized, to all of these things that they have statues and whatnot? They've won the peace and whatnot. How can anyone ever compare or reach those heights? They're immortalized. They will always go down as good people. They will always go down as the heroes. They have statues built for them. These, however many years she spent with them, guess what? They're up here. Someone else comes into her life. Now she has to battle this distortion. Now she has to battle this distortion where they start off down here, and society, the world, even herself, they're immortalized as statues, and now someone else coming into their life. Are they ever going to be good enough? Is that something that she's going to have to battle with? The feeling of not being alone, the feeling of being literally the last one in that group of adventurers, you know, per se, if like everyone else dies, to literally still be there. The feeling of no one else is ever going to reach that level to where I feel like it's enough. The feeling where it's like, I don't want to be alone. I have to remember this journey. You know, I have to go ahead and do certain things. That's, oof. Oh, just in case. Therapeutic Distortion, putting someone on a pedestal. Boom, there you go. Just like a fairy tale, proof of reaching the end, encounters that changed me, a journey of 1%. A courage someday, the wind will carry it away. Even if it disappears from everyone's memories, I will take it to the future. Damn. 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 Damn, Frieren. Damn. What if someone purposely puts themselves on a pedestal? Well, then you have like an aspect of narcissism if they put themselves on a pedestal. But if somebody else does it for you, like they know how to like navigate, that's manipulation. That's where you get the aspects through it. Even if no one remembers, she will. Even if everyone forgets, she'll take that on. That's a lot of weight, man. That is a lot to literally pack onto herself and keep going. Like, whew. The day I took your hand, that's when everything began. So silly that it makes me laugh. I miss those ordinary days. I want to know even now when I look back, you're always there, smiling gently. Because you are here, the beginning of a new journey, in this land you protected along with blossoming life. So it's a journey to find herself. It's a journey to keep, you know, everything alive. It's a journey of her trying to go ahead and identify, you know, who she is, how she's moving forward, how she's keeping this legacy going. And that is interesting because this ends with quite literally the beginning. The day I took your hand, that's when everything began. So silly that it makes me laugh. I miss those ordinary times. I want to know even now, when I look back, you're always there smiling gently because you are here, the beginning of a new journey in this land you protected along with blossoming life. Wow. Wow. So she more than likely will carry on these friends, these individuals that went on this journey with her. And I wonder if these are going to be good voices or bad voices. Is this going to haunt her? Is this going to be traumatic even? Is this going to carry aspects of self that can be extremely traumatizing for her, that can judge her decisions? Is this going to be like self-talk, you know, when we have like our good and bad voices? Or is this literally just going to be them and everything that she does is a way of self-reflecting? Is this going to be a form of quite literally Gestalt therapy, but instead of doing it through an empty chair technique where you leave an empty chair and you allow people to process that, it's in their mind, where they're using these individuals as ways of warning through that guilt, of literally being able to work their way through that guilt and be better. Oh man, interesting shit. Interesting concepts, and I just put these on backwards, but interesting lyrics, and I guess for you, would that weight be too much if you were in her shoes? Ladies and gentlemen, I guess with that, we can officially say the OP is there, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's where we're gonna get through the OP. Ooh, guys, girls, señoritas, señores, Mynheer and Frauen. Oof, guys, we are until episode 3. We are going to take a quick little break because we are about an hour in. So a quick 2-minute break. It's PP time, ladies and gentlemen. It is PP time. So guys, girls, everyone, go to the restroom, grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a snack. We're about to get started with the actual episode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be right back. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. How you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Oh shit. Okay, I'm excited, man. I'm really excited to be able to go into it. What is up, Sagas? Yo, I might be near one of the areas in about like beginning of November. We'll talk. I'll send you a message. Aside from that, dude, hell yeah, welcome on in. Appreciate all of you guys being here. You guys ready? Also, guys, if you guys want to help out, I do have a throne. That's all I gotta go ahead and say. I have a throne. There's some stuff in there. Appreciate all the help and love and support that you guys always give. Hina, dude, you're amazing. I hope you know that. I fucking love you, like legitimately. You're amazing. Holy shit. Anyway, A throne fit for a king. Oh yeah, you know it. Ladies and gentlemen, are you guys ready? For those of you on YouTube that don't really know, whenever this comes out on YouTube, first off, I have my little wand, right? I can cast a lot of spells on here, so you guys might be a little careful. But no, I'll be taking notes throughout this entire thing. We do have Senor Pinguino here who's going to go ahead and help us stabilize everything, make sure that everyone's on task here. So I will be taking notes throughout the entirety of these 2 episodes as we go through it, maybe identifying aspects that other people might miss, you know. We love casting spells. Oh yeah, you know it, you know. All right, ladies and gentlemen. You guys ready? I wish I could pop into stream more often. I mean, whenever you do, it's always a blessing. It's always wonderful to have you. You know, this will be on the test, Ed. Okay, you guys know. You guys ready? It'll be on the test. Whatever we talk about will be on the test, and they're going to be pop quizzes, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you guys are ready, and I hope you guys are taking in all of these concepts. Too loud, Ed? Holy shit. How old is this kid, by the way? How old? Thanks so much for the sub, Seashell. Appreciate it. How old? What is the name of the kid, and how old is the kid? She's so small. She's so small. She's around 8. Fern. 7, 8, or 10. 8 or 10. Okay, let's identify this, because this is actually bringing out some really interesting concepts here almost immediately. We're going to start off with the classic here. She's around 8 or 10, which is around school age, right? From 6 to 11 is school age. Industry versus inferiority. Erickson's developmental stages, important to know. Children need to cope with new social and academic demands. Success leads to a sense of competence, while failure results in feelings of inferiority. This is something I'm curious. Is Frieren going to develop her sense of competence? Or is she going to go ahead and maybe even unknowingly, like, bring up concepts of inferiority? Is Frieren in this like way, could just be like, oh, for example, could even coaches and teachers and whatnot is something that like you have to be careful of when you're teaching others. It's good to empower them, but there's a difference between like, hey, you know what, you could do better, you can, like, you know, you need to improve on this, versus, hey, Nick, bro, you will never be as good as me. Nick, you think that you're good at throwing this one kick? Nah, I mastered it, bro. I've had 25 years of throwing a roundhouse every single day. Nick, you know, like, I'm using Nick as an example, right? But the point being is there's differences in that. You know, there's I use Nick because I love him. I love everyone in here. But like, that's sort of what I'm highlighting is, how do you allow an individual, a child, to be able to go out and feel a sense of competence and of like personal growth, versus allowing feelings of inferiority to start happening during these ages? I'm really curious, because Frieden doesn't seem to have those social cues as much. If while she might be building Fern to be an amazing individual, there might be instances where she builds up these senses of inferiority without even knowing, because she doesn't fully understand these cues. I don't know if anybody else sees what I'm getting at, but immediately, like, that's something that's like coming into mind is like, how is this going to evolve into seeing the fact that like socially and through social cues, Frieren is a little lacking, you know? Sorry if that doesn't really add up for some people, but it's probably the best way for me to go ahead and put it. And even through this, boom, we're bringing up this wheel. Fuck it. No, it's all nasty. Ew. I hate when it comes out like that. I'm a dark mode user. Here we go. Where are they? Good old Maslow. You know it. Where are they? Ladies and gentlemen. Dark mode, best mode. You know it. Are they in love and belonging, safety, physiological, esteem, self-actualization? Are they in the purple, green, red, yellow, or blue all the way on top? Where do you think Fern would be? Or even Frieren? Where would Frieren be? Highlight both of them as a way of thinking about where these characters might be and where their next questioning section might be for themselves. Tentative to green or purple area. Red, maybe green. Okay. Frieren purple. Fern green. Do we know about Frieren's sexual intimacy though? Or even like family or friendships? Is she looking for esteem, respect by others, or whatnot? Even for Fern, even if we're going to use this as an aspect, right? It doesn't have to fulfill everything in the triangle. I do want to go ahead and highlight this. It's just important to go ahead and realize, like, for example, shelter should be down here in the physiological. You need shelter to be able to go ahead and have certain things, right? Frieren hasn't shown a single horny thought. I have to assume elves don't even get sexual very often. Could be. Could very, very well be. But I mean, the fact that Frieren is there and that Frieren is born, it means that they do have some sort of sexual drive at some point in time. So again, I do wonder about that. So the question comes in, where are they? For me personally, I think that Frieren is working on this, on a sense of belonging. That's what the green one is love and belonging. I think that Frieren is working on understanding where she fits in. Don't get me wrong. She can have big aspects of, like, you know, aspects of self, aspects of, if we're going to be honest, resources, finding those new spell books or whatever might come through with it. But she's really trying to identify what is friends, what is family, what is love. If we're gonna be honest about it, what is love? Why do I cherish these memories? Why do I cherish these people? Love and belonging, huge. Friend, though, not Frieren, but friend. Baby, don't hurt me, guys. On the other hand, where's she at? She's probably somewhere down here as well. Probably in the green or red area as well. You know, because now she has to go ahead and, like, find security of health, find security of self, so on and so forth. Interesting concepts to think about as we go forward, ladies and gentlemen, because this might go ahead and develop these characters even further and take this journey to an area where it needs to be. Let me go ahead and push the door open a little bit more. My office is fucking hot, dude. Oh my god. My office is like warm as shit. I wonder if the population of elves is very small, and it would be because they die or something before getting to reproduce. I wonder if the elves represent the, like, you know, Japan and their declining birth rates. I'm kidding. Please don't take that seriously. It's a joke. It's a joke. Mimics #1 cause of elf death. Really good question. Hold on. What does it say about Maslow's pyramid that a lot of people don't reach the top? Cyber, you want me to be honest with you? It says that a lot of people haven't been given the tools to succeed, either for themselves or for others. In case you guys don't know, yes, I am currently, you know, I currently supervise and manage a lot of therapists, case managers, social psychologists. You know, I go around in that area, as well as do my own counseling and shit like that. And alongside that, I'm also part of a membership to try and end homelessness where we're at. And it's interesting to see how much, like, difficulty it is to get help, and it is to get housing for people, and how it is to even get the programs needed for people to succeed, to get people to an area where they can start self-actualizing and not have to worry about employment, not have to worry about certain instances like that, because there's a lot of um, there's a lot of roadblocks in the way. There's a lot of roadblocks from like a government level, from 101 aspects in it, and it's oof. It can be a lot. It can be a lot to work towards. So some people get content with just meeting the love area of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or some even just go with esteem, and that's where they stop because anything from that is a lot more work. You know. Well, in the second, yeah, they can. They can. People can be happy at any area in the triangle, but to truly be able to go out and evolve and introspect and, really have fundamental areas of growth and whatnot, you should meet a majority of the triangle. And a lot of people don't, sadly. A lot of people like stop at certain areas, which is love and belonging. They do hit higher up, but like for them, a majority of their needs are met for themselves accordingly to like love and belonging or esteem. And they don't go further than that because for them, that is what life is. And so they get a glimpse of what self actualization can be as well. I love that this is just showcasing my man. Literally. It's been two or three shots of my man literally just like out there. He's truly embodying. But this attachment that is happening here, though, guys, pop quiz time. What is this attachment that is happening here called? Pop quiz. If you've been a part of the journey so far, what is this attachment that is happening here called? Gilfing it up. Oh, 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 oh. Propinquity? Yeah. Yeah. This is attachment through propinquity. This is showcasing that the more amount of time that we spend with people, the more that our secure attachment selves start to grow along with it. So we start to form these bonds, even though we don't want to. Even the most avoidant person in the world, if you are to set them with an individual for 100 days, which, by the way, I do have issues with some individuals that like do force things like that. Like spend a year, spend 100 days with an individual because you're literally forcing individuals to form a form of attachment like throughout that time and then rip them apart because life happens or whatnot. So that can be like a substantial issue for individuals, when that rupture process happens without any say. It works very nearly. It's the same way, John F. It like almost every animal out there forms a sense of propinquity as long as they have a higher level of like understanding of self or whatnot. Propinquity is something that is huge and that it often isn't even talked about, right? Which is how we form attachments and why we form them. And even in a sense like this, is this a sense of attachment of a teacher student? Is this a sense of attachment of mother child, of sisters? What sense of attachment are we getting from this? And for me, it's like teacher student, but at the same time, I feel like it might evolve. It might evolve into further than just that, you know? Throwing the greens over. Oh, dude. All according to Keikaku. All according to Keikaku. That face, though. My man. My man. It's a foot in the door. It absolutely is. And I think something to establish with this is this foot in the door technique. Kekaiku means plan. Chat. Oh, but no, the reason, you guys, the reason why I say this is that foot in the door technique that he did, where he's like, here, there might be something about immortality here in, this medical dictionary that we have here, full of psychological instances and whatnot that go through 101 different, you might find the key to immortality through this. If you say yes, if you spend time, just make sure that you train her. All of a sudden, guess what? You're going through it. You're growing this attachment. Time is passing by and you're doing everything. Hey, do you mind taking her on longer? Do you mind teaching her the forbidden? Do you mind doing? It becomes a lot easier to say yes and yes and yes because you've already said agreed once. A lot of people do this technique quite often, which is they ask for one small thing and it grows bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think in this sense, he's already established a form of safety. I wonder if for him, and I guess I'll ask this, was him saving Fern an aspect of him saving himself? I don't know what he may have gone through, what sort of guilt he might be going through, or what sort of sensations he might be like experiencing. But in him saving Fern, is he saving himself and pushing on the aspect of legacy towards the future? Like she is the legacy to continue on, not just like my will, my thoughts, but herself. And in saving her, I'm also saving an aspect of myself for the future. We'll see. Guys, all those caps, fuck. I have a feeling, man. I have a strong feeling. This has never been about immortality. This has never like the feeling that I'm getting from this is he already knows his time is up. He already knows like he's not racing against time. She might be, but he's not. And the fact that like for her, she's going throughout all of this trying to decipher anything. It's yeah. That's fucking rough, man. And I mean, if we're honest, the death of friends and the death of, like, of loved ones really impact us, and sometimes that guilt, that guilt is a mile and a half, man. Like it can take us through everything. He might have stopped drinking, but this is a form of legacy, of pushing something on towards the future, maybe a better version, a better aspect of himself. I wouldn't be surprised if the other members in that group maybe are even bringing some, like, other people up like that, right? The dwarf or whoever. Yeah, the dwarf is the last one that's left, right? Passing on a legacy. We all do it. Nowadays, we do it differently. Nowadays, we might do it through same family, whatnot. But some of us do it through memes. Some of us do it through genes. But a lot of people nowadays pass legacy on, pass stories, the form of storytelling, through memes, through aspects of self, through genes, through written works, through anything out there. People try and touch the future when we're just reflecting on the past. Oof. Learning some kind of skill to support myself is my way of repaying him. What is that, chat? Where's she at? Where is she at, guys? Seeing how the way that she's doing, what coping mechanism is she using to go through this, to work through this emotion, where she's like, I need to do this because this is what I need to do, because, you know, processing this emotion and being there, it's displacement. She's satisfying, you know, in her own mind, maybe even the process of grieving and taking the time to be there, with substituting it with hitting this fucking rock, because hitting this rock means that she got done. Sublimation. Yeah, well, actually, yeah, it would be sublimation, because it's an acceptable way, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. Because displacement would be doing it against, like, an object, but like sublimation is doing it in a way that is acceptable. Since magic is a socially acceptable or creative way to do it, it is sublimation. You're right. Good call. So putting this out there, is this healthy for her? She's dealing through grief in this way. She's dealing through grief in this way. She's literally using this rock as a semblance of her being ready, of her allowing her, like, of her being able to go and take that next step forward. How many of you do this? How many of you displace your feelings or sublimate your feelings or even repress them? You're not going to show your feelings or deny it. How many of you even regress and you're like, no, no, you know, and you turn back into a little kid? How many of you even project? Oh, you know, he's just angry with me. That's why I have to be angry. He's dying because he's angry with me. I've seen a lot of people project their feelings of insecurity onto others. But sublimation, seeing the way that she's approaching this and seeing the way that she's trying to do this, it's as though she's trying to stand on her own 2 feet instead of processing the emotions that are there. A lot of people go through this. A lot of people feel this. A lot of people go through instances of using these coping mechanisms. So, for example, I'll highlight this. Right now, why is your room dirty? Right now, why is your desk dirty? Right now, are you taking instances of yourself to clean your environment? And if not, why not? Why? Not just because you're lazy. Why? Does yourself count as an object of displacement? Yeah, you can do self-harm in a way to displace from feeling what you need to feel. And I think that's also good call out. That's important to call out as well and talk about and briefly touch on aspects like this, right? So the reason why I say that is because there's often a lot of individuals who they might be going through a rough time. They're like, no, I'm not. But you go into their room, into their house, into the whatever, and it's a bunch of mess everywhere. For them, they're like, it's a collected mess where they know where they can go and do certain stuff. They're like, oh, I know where this is, but they have 50 water bottles and 40 cans of soda and whatever, right? But it's like, what is that like for themselves in this environment? Is that healthy? Or are they just displacing aspects of their emotions onto it, onto showcasing instances like that? Interesting stuff that like this anime is just touching on, man. Is she Naruto? Is she walking on water, brother? Holy shit. Oh, I do wonder about this, right? Does she feel like she deserves to be saved, though? Does she feel like she deserves to be saved? Or that she deserves, like, to be recognized? Or does she feel like it is a weight that's been added to her? You know? Does she feel like this is now something that she has to do in order for her to stay alive? I do wonder this. If she fails this, if she would fail this, you're asking a question of all time. If she fails this, or if she would fail this, would she feel that she is worthy of living? These questions are coming to mind more and more because this weight that she's taking on at such an early age and these concepts of inferiority, of not being enough, is coming to mind as a core schema. Whew. It's magical. The music is beautiful, but the show is magical in the way that it's pushing through it, right? Like the way that it's touching on these scenes and like, you know, just transitioning into certain things. It's magical because it does leave you in an area, for some people, in an area of uncomfortability. It does leave you in an area where you're left to feel and just like conceptualize that feeling. This show does something that like Moshiko Tensei does well, which is it doesn't shy away from uncomfortable questions. While every other show, it immediately has a quick answer to it. Oh, he's going crazy for the 60th round. He'll be fine in 2 rounds, and you already know that. This show's like, hey, what is your legacy? What have you done in life? Do you feel comfortable with people forgetting about you? And it's leaving you to just think about it. It's not even answering it. It's just like, here you go. Moshiko Tensei does similar instances with certain themes, which is it just leaves it out there, which is like, here's a really big concept or theme, figure it out, you know. It gives you a sense of really reflecting internally and really trying to process that. That is what I love about the show, and this is what I'm respecting about the show, like really, really high. because it's not like it's not grabbing your hand and like literally taking you through every step. It's allowing you to process at your own rate. Okay, I'm not a wizard. It's just it would be surprising if the show went in that direction. And he seems content. Yeah, and he seems like he knew. But the fear of death is a great motivator in life. The fear of death allows us to do a lot of amazing things. A lot of things that like pushes us to literally find aspects to push into the future. All according to KK. This is something that I've always wondered about, which and I've always found curious, especially when doing end of life therapy. A lot of people do know when it's like time. And I've always like some people, of course, it comes and it just happens, right? But for some people that like have been there for a little bit, for a while, they've been struggling and whatnot, at least that I've encountered, it's like they've always known when it's like their last few days or their last day or anything like that. And it's always a journey to go through. And that does bring up the question, which is what is better for you, right? Which is processing the fact that your loved ones did die, or not even knowing what their fate may be, or separating yourself. For yourself, what would be easier? Getting that closure of seeing them pass away and being there at their last hours, their last days, their last everything, or allowing them to pass away with no one nearby. And for yourself, what would you prefer? That's an interesting, like, just question to throw out there, and a deep one as well. Goodbye, Ari on here. For him, it was the same. He was holding up Frieren to show up to take on the meteor shower when he knew it was time to go. Yeah, this is deeper than deep, man. This is one of the yeah, it is a hard question. Absolutely, PS4. And if he passes away alone, who's going to bury him? I mean, just one of the things I've heard someone say is just open up the window, like it, and lock the door type of thing. Like, oof, I don't want to see, but I don't want them to leave them alone. But I don't want to leave them alone. Think of the next person. He only stayed alive for the promise. Yeah, it's a deep question, and it's something worth reflecting on, no matter what age you're on. Like, for example, how many of you know what you're? I hate to ask this, and I hate to go this deep, but I've also had to go ask myself this question. I've also had to, especially since being sick and since everything, which I'm finally getting like better. I'm getting off my meds and everything next month because I'm already at the end here. Um, for those of you that have been sick, or how many of you have started your plans? Like, how many of you, like, you don't even have to be sick to start your plans. How many of you know what your burial plans look like, or what your plans for going away are? Do you have a plan that's set for your family to follow, for you to do, or for them to do, rather well said? Like, hey, please do this, like, you know, or are you living life without any plans? And if not, why not? If life were to happen, you're driving, you're in a bus, you're wherever, big car accident, are you prepared? Are you prepared so that your family knows what the appropriate next steps are according to your wishes? And if not, does that not terrify you? The fact that your parents, your siblings, your family might be fighting over what the appropriate steps are. And now they're not only dealing with grief, now they're dealing with complications about what your true will is and about what they want you to go ahead and do. You know, it's something we're thinking about, and it's something worth considering. Because if not just for yourself, for your family, for others. For example, I have a plan. I have a plan. If I were to pass away, Brady or my brother, you know, because I've been sick for a little bit, would come on here, would do a final stream, would come on, let you guys know what happened, and then all for everything. Literally everything would probably be deleted off of my computer, off of that, right? At least through this aspect. Yeah, and that is what my plan would be. And then of course I have burial plans and so on and so forth, but this is why I ask it. What are your plans for the future, for yourself? For me, I will give the decision to my loved ones. That's for me, it is already the end, but they are the ones who have to the process of grieving. Yeah. I think I voiced wanting to be buried as is my body so it returns to feed the earth. Sure. My channels can stay as mementos. They will always stay on there, but like in terms of like the general folders on my computer, that shit gets deleted. You know, those spicy folders and shit. Like, yeah, no, the channel would probably stay and those videos would probably stay, but you know, I don't want someone coming into my computer and like, you know, being like, I wonder what Ed was like, and they pull up and the first thing they see is like metamorphosis or emergence on there, and not realize that I'm doing a full-on analysis / review of it, and them just being like, what was he into, you know? Like, oh yes, destroy the PC. Yeah. On that note, we need to watch this thing. I'm reading it for the story, man. But no, like, it's aspects like that, you know, like just being able to clear the computer of that. Not so much the channel. The videos can stay. I mean, they're unmonetized for that reason, so that it's out there and no matter what, right? Anyway. I think that that's something that we have to be aware of, right? And I think this is something that always needs to be taught at any age, how to experience death, how to experience the ending of relationships, of closure, of whatnot. Because I hate to put it this way, but you'll probably find the partner or someone, and she might have to go ahead and like that relationship might end, partner might die, kids might pass away. You never know, but you have to be prepared with having the right coping skills to deal with it. And instead of just pushing it forward, which is very like thoughtful, like I don't want her to experience anything else, at the same time is that preparing her to lose somebody else. So you tethered him to Frieren. Yeah. Ed is going to be the grand wizard of the afterlife. Death in my close, kind of scared how I react once it happens. I mean, I'll share this. I'll open up about this, and I think this is a good opportunity to just be vulnerable and share this. My dad, about a couple of months ago, went to the hospital, right? And I think I've shared this story beforehand, where they diagnosed him with congenital heart failure. So what that means is he has a limited amount of time, right? Oh, not just him, but like anyone with that diagnosis, there's a limited amount of time available. And it's scary to think about because pretty much, you know, your heart can stop at any time. And it's an aspect of, are you okay? Are you processing that with them? Are you enjoying the time that you have with your family or that you have with loved ones when they have diagnoses that are like, end of life, that are like, so on and so forth. And that's why I bring this up, and I bring up the concept of talking about plans, of talking about the future, of talking about whatever that may mean, and it's not something like I tend to open up a lot about or talk about, because a lot of people don't like, unless you've been in a situation like that. Yep. It's face magic. Oh, well, that's good, Cleverka. But like, a lot of people don't open up and talk about situations like that. A lot of people aren't open to talking about what finality means. And that's why I'm opening up about this, because it's scary, man. It is a scary experience. However, and it's something worth noting, we're all going to have to go through it someday. Which is the loss of a loved one, the loss of parents, the loss of grandparents, the loss of siblings even. And that's the, yeah, it's a rough thing to conceptualize. My great grandmother, but she was 100 years old. Not that it made it hurt any less. No. Wow. And she did it, boys. Maybe I'll do the same. And she did it, boys. Hello, hi, what's up, Hentai Queen? How you doing? Welcome on in. What a name, dude. What a name. You're not going out until I'm done. But I mean, sometimes, and I think in the stories of this itself, it's so good to be able to go and come on in here and finish what you've set out to do, right? In that aspect. Because if you're going to talk about finality for herself, uh, it's such a name. It is such a name. It's beautiful. Uh, for a lot of people, it's like closing a chapter in their life and willing to go out and start a new one. And it's interesting enough, like if for Fern, if we were to ask her about it, like what are her chapters in her life, right? Like losing family, meeting him, and then like losing him would probably be another chapter. My eyes are dehydrated. It hurts, man. It hurts. I'm not gonna lie. So if we were to flip this onto you, what are the chapters in your life? What are the chapters in your life? What would you say for yourself are the finality points that you've encountered in your life where you've known that a new chapter is starting for yourself, where you've known that you've increased from that? Thanks so much for the follow, Hentai Queen. I think you just want me to say your name over and over again. Oh, damn ninjas. How'd you even get that name? I thought that name was taken. Like, damn. I'm even feeling that, dude. Oh, that's yeah, and there's one left. And there's one left. I'm drinking liquor in his honor. I can't drink not until November, but I'm drinking water in his honor. The holy hole. What's up, dude? And this is why I think like this show, the way it's touching on these themes is so powerful, man. Like losing friends and seeing friends evolved and whatnot. It's like I'll ask you guys this: how many of you guys? I don't know. I don't. If you're in your teens, 20s, maybe 30s, how many of you guys have I actually study psychology and absolutely love this anime, so it seems like a good chat for me. Well, welcome on in. Appreciate you coming. Well, if you don't mind me asking, what level of psychology are you studying at the moment? Like, where are you at? How many of you guys, this is where my question was going, would seeing the age ranges around you and your friends and whatnot, have noticed that everyone else is like in their different life progression. Some of the people are already married. Some people already have kids. Some people are already, may have already passed away, friends that you knew, so on and so forth. Seeing where you are socially and aspects to them as well, what does that do for you? How do you feel on that? Do you feel like people are moving too quickly through their life, or do you feel like maybe you're a little slow? Like, what is that like? Even in that aspect, well, that's normal. That's like, for some people, that's life. We all move through life in different periods and different cycles. But for some people, it's scary, and it might be even frightening to see people quickly jumping through life, right? And some people, it might be they're 18, 19, they're married, they have 4 kids already. I don't know, just throwing that out there. And it's like they've already started this whole aspect as to what people idealize as, like, what life may be. I feel like, I feel like I'm way too slow, and it's a bit depressing. It can be. It can be if it's up to you, if that's how you define what life is, right? I feel behind, but I guess I'm okay with that. I don't want a family yet. Which brings up the next question, right? I have a friend who already has 2 kids, but I have some close acquaintances who have already passed away due to illness. But what does that do? That realization that you're either ahead or behind or right in the middle of that pack, when you're constantly comparing yourself to others, you can't get anywhere. I'd actually disagree with that. I think sometimes, because comparing yourself to others, Hentai Queen, allows us the ability to introspect and maybe see how we can go ahead and start fixing aspects of our life to maybe fit our own mold or expectations, right? Always comparing yourself, yeah, that's bad. But like taking the time to just introspect and be like, where do I fit in this group of things? Am I happy where I'm going compared to where everyone else is? For example, a big fear for a lot of people is being alone, or never having a family, right? Or never being loved. And it's like when they start seeing other people maybe succeed in aspects like that, a lot of times taking that time for introspection of like, what can I do to maybe, I don't know, start getting out there, maybe start taking those steps, are huge moments of introspection and huge moments of taking that first step. But still, nonetheless, I like it, Hentai Queen. Bring in this comments. In some aspects, I think sometimes I'm a bit behind in relationships and finances area, but it is due to my choices in life. So life is, yeah. Yep. How you want, because you want to do it, not because someone else does it. Discarded opinion. It can be. Some people really just get themselves in the mode where they're always comparing themselves to others. But that's why it's important to realize that in life we all go through different variances, right? We all have different events and experiences in life that push us forward and or hold us back. When you're comparing yourself to everyone, it's different stipulations are different in the entire way they would have to go about meeting the same milestones. We all have milestones that we have to meet, like no matter what. I think that this is why developmental milestones are created, because we all have these developmental milestones that we have to hit along the way for successes or, inferiority complexes. This is why we have Erikson, Piaget, 101 other individuals. Like, and these milestones are age ranges usually. However, and this is why we have like developmentally, delayed milestones in which psychologists or therapists talk about. Like we often go into, like, especially myself, whenever I'm doing a big study into it, like, are you meeting your developmental milestones? Even as an adult, this is why we look at Erikson. Are you meeting these, or are you a little behind? And if you're behind, what is holding you behind? Like, what has not allowed you to meet this milestone? Is it yourself? Is it society? Is it your friends? Is it family? Is it culture? What is stopping you from meeting all of these milestones? But also, always comparing yourself onto others it's rough. It's rough, right? Fake expectations, all fake expectations, could be. But still, the question remains, I am my own worst assassin. Aren't we all, dude? We're like, I will say this. The amount of self-sabotage that we do to ourselves, despite wanting to succeed, it's really messed up, dude. It's really messed up how sometimes we want to go ahead and have this life, this step, we're taking the steps, and sometimes we sabotage ourselves in unexpected ways. But anyway, wow, I feel like we stopped at a really good fucking time there. Holy shit, dude. It didn't have to be magic. It just had to be someone, dude. We're halfway through this episode. Hi, Chris. Welcome on in. Appreciate it. We're halfway through this episode. And I got to say, just the topics of legacy, of self, of what we want to go ahead and like push forward in our life, and, you know, how to come into closure. So it's more like heightened. Yeah. Hentai Queen, if you don't mind me asking, how has that journey been for yourself? Like, in dealing with BPD? Because, like, first off, you're an individual. You're a hentai queen before you're BPD, right? I always want to go ahead and highlight this. It's like, you are not BPD. You are hentai queen first and then BPD. As silly as that sounds to say it, you are an individual first. But, like, how has it been dealing with diagnoses like that? And for everyone else out there, if you've been diagnosed, what has that been like for you? And through this, I'm going to reflect on this onto Frieren, because it's like the more that we go into the show, the more that these concepts of like, what is your role? What is your role in society at large? Thanks so much for the follow, Dev. What is it? What is your role in of itself, right? Like, are you happy where you've been? Maybe only in personality sort of affects my entire personality. But like, even and I think that's the big thing, hentai, which is, if does it get tiring when people only associate you with the disorder, despite it being a part of your personality, and not like, you know, you being you, or seeing the aspects as to like what like you feel is you, right? Because I oftentimes I see a lot of people do that, which is, oh, you're depressed, like, you know, people have depression or people are going through grief, and it's like, oh yeah, they are grief, they are depression, they are anxiety, and it's like, no, they're an individual that's dealing with grief. They're an individual that's dealing with symptoms of BPD. They're an individual that's dealing with symptoms of anxiety, but they're not depression, anxiety, or BPD itself, right? And I think that's a huge thing to highlight and a huge thing to go over. Through that, though, I do want to say, with the aspects that are shown in here, is Frieren gonna have an easy time making connections, or is it gonna be a little bit harder, considering that like her connections that she's made so far have impacted her? They've passed away, or they like something's happened to them, right? Seeing that Frieren is next to Frieren might be healthy, and it might turn into an unhealthy expectation, and that's where my mind is going to, which is Frieren gonna allow her the opportunity and the room to grow as an individual in a healthy state, or are there going to be inadequacies that present themselves? With that, ladies and gentlemen, we hit the 2-hour mark, and we are only halfway through episode 2, the 2-hour mark, not the 4-hour mark. So guys, we're going to take a quick little restroom break, a 2-minute restroom break. It's PP time, everyone. Go grab a drink, go grab a snack. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Give me 1 second. Hi. How was PP time? Everyone had a good PP? Oh crap, ladies and gentlemen, y'all fucking crack me up. I hope you guys know I always feel blessed having you all here. Appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a good time as we're going through this episode. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about in this episode. Like, I feel like people, I don't know, like some people were like, were messaging me and were saying like, everyone had a good PP. Yeah. Some people were saying that like, this might have gone really, really quickly. And I'm like, no, I genuinely feel like if you take the time to like process it, there's a lot. There's a fuck ton to go ahead and take in. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and continue. We're right where we left off. Is everyone else doing okay? I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope you guys grabbed a snack or something really, really quickly. Hold on, doing some last minute checks. Perfect. All right, let's go, guys. Are you sure you want to do 2 in 1 stream? I guess we'll see. We'll see how we feel about it, because this is really, really nice. Like nicely paced, nicely everything. Anyway. "26 years after the death of Himmel." Okay. I was like, wait a minute, wait a fucking minute, wait a minute. How old is Fern? Also, guys, how do you say it? Because I saw some people saying I was saying it wrong. 6 years since she left with Fern. Okay, she's like 16 now. Oh man. Hold on. She's 16 now. 16. Develop a sense of personal identity. Success leads to an ability to stay true to yourself, while failure leads to role confusion. All right. Is she going to develop herself in that aspect where she starts to stand by herself? Fern. Okay. Fern is not pronounced like the plant. Then how do you say it? Just listen to the character and then repeat it. Nah, man. Fuck that. give me a full on pronunciation checklist there. 6 years from far away. It's been 6 years since she showed up at Heiter's house. Right. So she might be around there. 12 to 18, yeah. Frieren in Japanese, but it is Japanese. From now it's more like fair. Oh, Fern. So, again, the question still lies with that, which is, regardless, 12 to 18 is still adolescence. Is she going to stay true to herself? Is she going to be able to go ahead and ascertain her true self? Or is there going to be some weak, some weak sense of self in here? Who is she in the grand scale of things compared to Frieren and everyone else? Okay, with Frieren, we got to be straight up about it, bro. Not everything runs on spells. Like, sometimes we need some dinero to replace free tea. It's like, brother. It's already touching on it, guys. Beautiful fucking shit. It's already touching on this aspect that we just brought up. You know, her trying to differentiate herself, that she is her own self, and Frieren accidentally just, we are the same. Like, cementing these facts, and maybe, that was such a beautiful way of incorporating this, because all of a sudden it's a weak sense of self, all of a sudden that this is gonna get highlighted a little bit more. She's already successful anyway. Interesting shit like that. Okay, but to what lengths would you go for a spell? Now I have questions regarding Frieren. To what lengths would she go for a spell? Because seeing as though that's her hobby is collecting spells, and seeing that, that she really doesn't care as long as she gets How the past touches the future, man. She has all the time in the world. Like, I guess for yourself, if you saw like your best friend, right, or even a loved one, and say that like you got to live forever, and you start to see their statues start to deteriorate, and memories of them starting to just become nothing more than a book, nothing more than this. Oh, do you guys remember, Ed? Do you guys remember the Psychologist? Wow, look at everything that he talked about and he wrote about. He like touched on all of these anime and they're all categorized by like instances that he talked about. And, 100, 200, 300 years from now, all of a sudden it's like nobody remembers how Ed really looked like. No one really cared about, what Ed was like, or how he truly seemed like, or his personality, or if he liked pizza, or, so on and so forth. All they remember are the legacy that's passed on here. That is something worth, oof, oof. It's worth tackling. And like the spicy water, right? But it's worth highlighting. It's worth highlighting that sometimes people just become a part of a greater legacy of, myths and whatnot, and the person behind it sort of goes away. It's just words now. The weight was gone. And like feet, PS4, we don't talk about it. And like Dommy mommies, right? And like people in maid costumes or maid cosplays, and so oh, the venerable Ed, father of anime psychology. I know, right? The original father of well, anyone remember you for the most part? I think at best your grandchildren, and then you are gone. Yeah, for the most part. Accepting of death also means accepting a second death as well. But it's something for her to carry on these memories, right? For her to carry on these memories means that like no matter what, he will still be following through this, like falling through the sands of time, I guess, until she's gone. She will be the last person that truly carries on, I guess, carries on the weight of their encounters. I swear. I was gonna say, I swear. She's currently 15, not 16. If, like, say that she goes away and she comes back and it's like a field of flowers around them, like, my heart would just, oh, oh, connect the dots, old lady. 15, 16, yeah, it doesn't really change much. She's still around that same age range, but nonetheless, good information to have, though. Seed rats. Seed rats. Seed rats. Cannot get away from the rats. They're fucking rats everywhere. It's a fucking rat. Oh no, ladies and gentlemen. I told you that the rat wasn't Frieren as well. There's rats everywhere and they're gray. Oh. But also, how long is 10 years for Frieren? How long does that feel for her? Like, how did you do this, SP? Is it like the same way that we, like, for example, with us for our pets, or like a year for us is 7 for dogs or something? Because if so, like, oh yeah, it must have been a couple decades. It's like, oh yeah, it was probably just a couple days, or probably like, okay, wow. Hey, yo, hold on, wait a minute, hold on. For free? For free? For free? Don't squirt that. Oof, oof, oof. I didn't think we were gonna get freedom feet as well. Holy shit, this should have been on only wizards. I guess only elves at this point. Oh my god. Ooh, we gotta. Oh, for freedom. I like how for Frieden, this might not be a lot of time. This might literally feel like a day or two, right? Because their passage of time is very, very much different. But yet, clearly, for Fern, right, Farron, it's very, very much different. Very like 6 months, bro. For her, it's like 15 minutes, bro. 6 months looking for a flower, exactly. Mere like, oh. But you start seeing where if you were, for example, if you were like Frieren's assistant, what would that do to you? If you were her assistant, if you were working with her, do you feel like you would ever be yourself? Do you ever feel like you would genuinely be able to stand up by yourself in a situation where, 6 months for a flower, for a flower? Do you ever feel like you would evolve off of that? Or do you feel like it would be frustrating and you're wrestling with exactly, and you're wrestling with the aspects of independence, the aspects of self? That's where my mind rushes to. I might rage quit. I would feel more like a manager trying to be the one setting the deadlines. I find it wild, and I find it interesting that that's where it's going to. I'll die before you finish. But you see, this is where I'm going to disagree with her, because that is her mission. For Frieren, she can do anything she wants. She has her own agency. For you, that might be different for you, right? Because you have a limited lifespan. You have to do whatever makes you happy. The same way that she's doing this because it's something that she wants to go ahead and do. Both of you are diverging already. You're on diverging paths. And I feel like you might just need a companion or someone to help you identify and set off on your own journey in life, set off on your own path as to what that might be. Because clearly you're already starting to diverge from her and from this ideology in general. Different perspective because she was also saved. She's too young to understand. Does she exactly? Does she have? Does Frieren have an obligation to save people? No, nobody does. Do you have an obligation to save people? No. Do I have an obligation to be everyone's psychologist? No, absolutely not. Right. And that's where that comes in. It's like, what are you doing that makes yourself happy? What are you doing to keep you happy? Right. And that's a big component in that. Oh wait, never mind. Like the aspects and aspirations through this, it's huge, and it's important to go ahead and take in and analyze and conceptualize. The seeds, the rat, the rat. Fuck you guys. You guys have this rat like entrenched in my mind, dude. Oh, betrayed. La rata, ¿qué? La rata, la misma rata. But it's true though. Like, if you don't set a time limit for what you guys have going forward and what that looks like, what the future journey might look like, at what point do you stop? At what point do you stop? At what point is it enough? Like, like we have to keep going. Otherwise, I might get old here, and I don't want to get old here because time goes differently for you. Gross. Dwarf is the best girl, dude. I do have a fear. I do have a fear for Frieren. I have a fear that, like, as she starts to realize more human emotions, that, like, she might come to find out that, like, Himmel might have, like, had feelings for her. And that Himmel, aside from waiting for the meteor, was maybe waiting for her. And that Himmel may, oof. Like, that's sort of the aspect through that, right? Which is, what does that weight do to you even more, especially if you're already taking these steps, if he's already in a hypertaxic distortion, if all of this stuff does start coming through, it's like, how much weight does that carry through once you start figuring that out? Better late than never, is it? Because it can lead some people into a deep depression, dude, like a deep depression from that. I think Frieden possibly liked him a little bit as well. Yeah, yeah, well, saving himself for Frieden. Bruh, I swear, if they go up it and at the very top or somewhere near their top, there's a bunch of these flowers that was somehow saved, or like something to do with an image of the backstory, this is just gonna break me time and time again, man. Like, oof. Mom must have regretted letting her go, only for her to come back 50 years later. But aside from that, it's like, do you really want to keep people around you? Like, do you want to keep people around you? Like, do you want to forcibly keep someone around you that doesn't realize their feelings for you? Or would you let them go and hope? And hope, you know? Like, oof. The rat was important in the show, boys. My heart breaks, bro. My heart breaks. My man really tried. My man really fucking tried. Like, he will. Yeah, that's a romance flag, dude. Like, oh, oh, oof. Telling you guys, I'm telling you, this fucking hurts. This is Frieden's run of self recovery, man. Of literally self growth and self learning, and oh, Nah, man. Nah, I'm not. The feels. I'm already tearing up. I can't, man. Oh, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But they're actual or are they fake? Or are they? They're probably real flowers, like yeah, long enough to exist. And now he does it. Oh, oh, and now she does it to him. And now she does it to him, and she returns the favor 50 years later of a mark of friendship and maybe understanding emotions. My heart, bro. I can't. I don't want to fucking tear up and cry. 80 years later, brother. 80 years later. And she finally realizes maybe just a little bit as to what he may have been going. Oh, oh, critical heart damage. And that might have been it, man. That might have been. I'm over here tearing up, dude. this ain't pretty, man. That might have been a part of like Himmel's attitude for it as well, right? Which is like he always cared about her. He cared about her enough to like keep pushing that in and keep like at least trying to see if maybe his feelings would get to her one day. That is a lot of character development in a short period of time, but it's a lot of introspective work, and that's why she's working on this, right? That's why she's going through everything. And even if people, I feel like if people might leave her, she'd still keep working on it because she's trying to understand, emotions, and she's trying to understand herself. For Himmel to affect her this much, she must have felt something too deep down. Yeah, man, most definitely, she must have felt something deep. I like how she does it, and then she's like, "Shall we get going? Are we going on to the next one? Like the next step?" 2 episodes in, man. 2 episodes. Have fun crying more. Nick, stop. No. 2 episodes in, and it's already touching so many aspects of self, of everything that it's. Shall we get going, Ed? Not yet. Not yet. Have a good night, Nick. By the way, but like, what is the purpose of closure for her? Like, what is the purpose of doing this, and what is the purpose of significance of closure, of actually being able to like find itself in its totality and come down with it and finish what she wants to do. Beautiful show. I think that this show just encapsulates a lot of elements that I feel people just rush to them, like it's just going to go over their head, or it's going to be whatever. Is she retracing her journey with them? That's another good question. But throughout all of that, I don't know, is she healing? And I think that's the big question that I'd want to ask her. It's like, do you feel like taking this journey is a journey of healing for you, or are you doing this journey as just to recount your steps? Because both would go in the similar way. Anyways, with that being said, let's listen to the ending, and then we'll go ahead and get started with episode 3. And we are like 2 hours and close to 30 minutes in. Phenomenal episode. Phenomenal fucking episode. I don't know what else to say other than like I am pleased. I feel like with it, I'm even tearing up, dude. Oof, oof. I feel like even with it, like actually taking the time and like maybe even the flowers is identifying and understanding the people that she traveled with. You know, these great heroes that she once traveled with that like for 10 or however many years it was that they were in here. I think it was 10 years, right? That's what it said. Like it's oof. Oof. I guess like how do you understand people unless you walk in their footsteps and you empathize with them? And I guess empathy is the greatest magic out there, right? Because it allows us to feel and see things and experience things and be able to relate them to others in a way that like no magic really does. Beautiful shit, guys. Propinquity is magic. Exactly. Propinquity is magic, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that brings us to the end of episode number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Honestly, good episode. Really good episode that showcases like, growth and camaraderie and being able to set off on a journey. We're literally seeing the just this area of growth. I liked it. I actually really do like it. I do like the like how we're slowly starting to get into like the bigger themes at play. I mean, the bigger themes have always been there, but it's like we're exploring it more. And it's not just shying away. Overall, I have to say, what do you guys think about it? Let me know, guys. If you guys like this discussion and whatnot, please do leave a comment down below. It helps the like algorithm a lot. If you're here on Twitch, make sure to follow if you're lurking and you like the deep conversations that we're going through, because that's what it's about. It's about like going in as deep as we can, like encapsulating these moments and really taking the time to like slowly analyze and progress what is being shown and how we're supposed to go through this.